I wasn't planning on filming anything. I had such a good time with my friends, and you know what they say, memories will last forever. But I fucked up. I seem to have misplaced 2 reels of my footage, meaning I probably deleted them unknowingly and didn't save them. So much of the day was lost. I still ended up with 3 videos though. But, yeah. So I'm gonna shoot one more video, mostly because I'm bored. And I didn't talk much in the other ones. And something came up today in my hometown, place I live. I kind of wanted to talk about. See, I live in Northern California. I live in like the capital city of all of California, and this city has a real problem with homeless people. Let me do this real quick. Sound settings, master volume. There we go. But this city has a real problem with homeless people, and that's what I did. Man, now I know what I did wrong. It's recorded over. I'm sorry, thinking out loud. Back to what I was saying. This city has a real problem with homeless people. They're everywhere. There's really no like downtown like you would see in New York or other big cities where the homeless people should be. I mean, we do have a downtown, and that's where the homeless people should be, because that's where all the programs are that'll help them get back on their feet. But the thing is out of all of the homeless people that I've ever met in every city of the country I've lived in, only like 1% want to not live on the street. The rest of them are crazy people, or mentally unstable, or very addicted to drugs, or just are happy living in a gutter and begging for money every day than actually getting a job and working. Those are 99% of the homeless people. The 1% of homeless people are the people that fell on a hard time and need a hand up and will take advantage of every possible piece of help that they possibly can get. Well, in California today, and the reason I bring this up, in Sacramento today, the reason I bring this up is because my neighborhood's full of homeless people that I've got to fucking deal with on a constant basis. And the homeless people that I deal with are all, righteous and self-deserving, and it reminds me of an old Walt Disney cartoon that I used to watch, one of the Merry Melodies back when I was a kid, and it was the cartoon of the grasshopper and the ants, the story, and the grasshopper used to sing this song in that cartoon that went a lot like this. Oh, the world owes me a livin', do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Oh, the world owes me a livin'. And the grasshopper, didn't do anything while the ants worked hard to save themselves for the winter. And the grasshopper, in the end, in the Aesop's fable, he learns a lesson about, because the ants have to take care of him. Reality of that is homeless people don't learn that lesson. Homeless people are like stray dogs. Like, you see a stray dog and you give a stray dog a piece of meat. The next time that stray dog sees you, it's going to expect the piece of meat, or it might get violent and attack you, hoping to take the meat from you that it thinks you've got. Homeless people are the same way. Homeless people, if they see you and you give them $1, you automatically become dollar man to them for the rest of your life. And every time they see you, they will expect $1 from you, and they ask for change. Well, today, not far from where I live, just like a neighborhood over, a homeless man asked a lady for change out in front of a 7-Eleven. When she said no and probably replied to him, "Get a job, you slob," depending, because of the neighborhood it happened in, she's probably just as, struggling to get by. She hasn't got money to give to a homeless guy, and maybe she had a bad day at work. having to deal with customers that are, oh man, it sucks being poor. But yeah, get a job, you slob. Leave me the hell alone. Any woman has a right to say that to anybody. No, I mean, especially if it's a stinky, crusty guy. I gotta change. Yeah, she should be able to say, leave me the hell alone, slob. You scare the crap out of me. But this guy took offense to her saying, no, I don't, I'm not giving you shit. Followed her into the 7-Eleven and pulled a gun on her. Well, the guy, as it turns out, was high on methamphetamines. So the moment he pulled the gun, everybody screamed, he spooked, he started running, dropped his backpack and his meth pipe. And the only reason I know these details is because the cameras from the local news here zoomed in on his backpack in front of the 7-Eleven, and laying right next to it, perfectly fine, not broken or anything, was a plastic meth or a glass meth pipe, which probably the cops took out of the bag and just laid it there so the camera crews could film it. But that homeless guy then ran through the parking lot of 7-Eleven, opening fire on everybody. Ran through the parking lot of a Rite Aid, opening fire on everybody. Ran into a field, and when the responding officer, I guess, who was only a couple blocks away or right across the street, pulled up, opened fire on the officer. Now this guy pretty much emptied a clip over a block span in every direction, didn't hit anybody. The responding officer shows up, drops him with one shot. The guy's okay, he went to the hospital. But seriously, this brings, to light the big problem here in Sacramento is the homeless people. And there's so many of them. They're on every street corner flying a kite. For those that don't know, flying a kite is taking a cardboard sign and saying, "A homeless vet, please help," when they're not homeless, when they're not a vet at all. That's just something they lie about in hopes to tug at your heartstrings. That's also part of the reason homeless people get dogs too. Because they'll stand there with a dog, homeless. They can't take care of the dog. They're hoping some lady will drive by and go, "Oh, that poor dog doesn't deserve to be treated like that," and then give them extra money. That's just how the scam works. Well, they're everywhere. They're on every street corner. And if this one guy, high on meth, had access to a gun, and then finally, because every homeless person, I've run into countless homeless people. "Hey man, you got $1? Sorry, I ain't got nothing." "Well, F you then. You don't know how hard it is for me. You're not better than me." Well, first of all, sir, to your argument, yes, I am better than you for many reasons, but let's just go with the one that makes the most sense to you. People will show up at my funeral, which makes me better than you. And it makes me a person, while you are just an animal. Nobody's going to show up to your funeral. You are probably going to have your body scooped up off of the street and then put right into an incinerator. You are not important. You are less than human. That's all I've got to say to that. You're not a citizen in the United States because of the situation you're in. You don't want help. And then you fly off the handle when people can't help you because you're asking other people that struggle and work for a living. You're standing in poor neighborhoods asking people for change instead of going downtown where you're supposed to and getting help from the services that are down there to help you. Oh, the reason you're not doing that is because you can't drink, do drugs, all that other shit to get help from those services. So they spread out to the poor neighborhoods. Why? Because the poor neighborhoods is where their drugs are at. And then they ask for people for money, the poor people that are working for a living for money. And when they say no, they fly off the handle. I've had a lady throw a cup of ice at me because she asked me for a cigarette, and I told her I don't smoke. I smoke a vape pen. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. I occasionally smoke a cigarette, but I don't buy packs of cigarettes. And I told her I don't smoke. And then I got, "Well, tomatoes and ketchup and pickles and beets, and I saw a cigarette in your hand just a minute ago." And there's no point in pulling out my vape rig and going, "It was a vape rig." Because if she knows what that is, the chances are she'll go, "Well, can I get a drag off of it?" And I will go, "No, herpes. No, you can't have a drag off my vape pen." Which will elicit the same response for her. "You don't know the mother in the..." And then, she'll throw the cup of ice at me still. And then tell me how she's going to kill me and eat all my children. And, so... And like today, the cops shoot this homeless guy that's high on meth. He survives. I guarantee He's in the ambulance. They had to strap him down, and the entire way he's like, "You can't do this to me. I'm an American citizen. I have the right to mayonnaise my ketchup with hot dogs on a peanut butter sandwich, and you're not going to stop me from throwing my coconut oil all over your bicycle." And that's probably what he was rambling all the way to the hospital. And they're going to take him to the hospital, and he's going to go to jail because he committed a crime by opening fire and putting many lives at risk. And he'll probably go with attempted murder or attempted manslaughter, and he'll go away for 10, 15 years. But that's one guy out of the hundreds that are in this city that are doing stuff like that on a constant basis, attacking normal people that are just working and trying to get by, and most of us struggling to get by because this is California. There's not a lot of great jobs, and this is a country that is under Obamacare, so even those of us that can't get a great job, our hours get cut even more, because if you work over a certain amount of hours, according to Obamacare, your employer has to start paying for your medical. So our hours are cut to under 32 hours a week. We're lucky if we get that, because they still hire multiple people. You can have a staff of people and be fleshed out and be like, okay, everybody's getting 32 hours a week. You're still going to need more people, because what if somebody calls in sick? So they'll hire like double, and then it'll be like, okay, you get 24 hours this week. Maybe you'll get 20 next week, because we've got to cycle everybody that we keep hiring through, because we can't hire people for full time anymore because that's way too expensive. And then there's the factor that minimum wage keeps going up, which doesn't help anybody, because as minimum wage goes up, they just shave more hours off of the time you're able to work and hire somebody else. It's maddening. But that was, the whole point I wanted to make this video was, one, to apologize to my FC for losing footage. Like I said, memories are golden, and we'll always have those memories of what I wasn't able to capture and post on YouTube, and also to bitch about the homeless problem in the city I live in, because it's ridiculous. And I know that there are people out there that are like, but not all homeless people. You're right. A very few minority are people that just fell into hard times and are doing their hardest to get off the streets. How do I know this? I was one of them. I was homeless, and I had a job at the time, and I had to surf couches, find showers to use, sleep under bridges, sleep in dilapidated parking garages, wherever I could find a place that I figured I would be able to be safe for 6 hours with my eyes shut. I had to do that for a couple months, until I got out of the situation I was in and living in the place I was in, and I moved on. But I had a job, I had money, I just couldn't afford at that time, because hours were being cut and everything was going into place. I couldn't afford to get a place by myself, and where I was living, I was in the middle of nowhere, Kansas City, Missouri. I was in the middle of nowhere. Kansas City, Missouri is the butthole of the United States of America. It's just right dead there in the center. There's nothing around it for miles. And for me, there was no family, because all my family's either on the East Coast or in California, or on the West Coast. So there was nothing for me out there. So I finally was able to get out of there with the help of my family, and get back on my feet and immediately get a job. And it's still, here in California, it's still way too expensive. Until I find a really good job, it's still too expensive for me to live on my own. I still would need a roommate no matter what. If I like eating and electricity and playing video games, I'd need a roommate. The amount of money I make right now, I could probably afford rent a month for a studio apartment here in Sacramento and have $5 left over, if I didn't already have to pay that in taxes or whatever. And that's if I worked every single day without being sent home early, getting sick, showing up late because of traffic, or because of a bus, or because of a car breaking down. I'd have to be working constantly to have $5 at the end of the month after paying rent. So, but I am the thing. The good news is I do have a job, and it's not that hard to get another job or a better job if you're already working. So, but I digress. Let's say we end this episode of Ryan's Quarter and we do some chocobo racing. How's that sound?